Good morning to grade 9 science students. We are still on our lesson about Unit 1, Living Things and Their Environment. And we are in week 2 or module 2 lesson. We have explaining the different patterns of non-Mendelian inheritance. But we are now in part 2 of this lesson. Before that, you can still copy and screenshot the different important words and their meanings. These words are just the same in the words from our part 1. Then, let us get the bird's eye view of this lesson about comparing the two forms of inheritance patterns. We have Mendelian and non-Mendelian, and because we are in grade 9, our focus is about understanding the three examples of non-Mendelian inheritance with incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple alleles. But before that, let us first compare the difference between the two forms of inheritance by using this picture here. Now, in Mendelian forms of inheritance, the focus is about the law of dominance. There must be a factor that is the dominant one. For example, we have here 5 persons and the fifth one is the biggest. This person can say here, hey, I am the biggest and therefore I must be the dominant. You must follow me. You must obey me. You must follow everything I say. That is how the dominant person treats everyone, okay? So in Mendelian inheritance, the focus is about the law of dominance. For example, here, violet and white flower, the resulting one is violet because violet is the dominant. This violet must be expressed. That is the focus of Mendelian inheritance. But in non-Mendelian inheritance, when we say non-Mendelian because it is not following the principles of Mendelian inheritance, in non-Mendelian inheritance, the focus is not giving emphasis on the law of dominance or the dominant allele because as you can see in the picture, the 5 persons are already the same in terms of their height, no? Their height are the same. Meaning to say, we cannot determine who is the dominant and who is not the dominant. They are the same already. Being dominant is not completely expressed or not completely emphasized. Neither is dominant nor recessive, no? We cannot determine who is the dominant one. Okay, that is the focus of non-Mendelian inheritance. And by that, let us tackle the first example of non-Mendelian, which is incomplete dominance. Now, this says that dominant allele is not completely expressed, while in Mendelian inheritance, the dominant allele is completely expressed. How is that? Please remember that in incomplete dominance, not completely expressed. In this example here, we can say that in Mendelian inheritance, violet is the dominant and it is inherited by the offspring whose phenotype is also violet because it says that dominant allele is expressed. So the dominant is violet and therefore it must be expressed. Now in non-Mendelian inheritance, in incomplete dominance, red crossed with white flower, all resulting flowers were pink. Meaning to say, neither allele, neither trait is dominant. Red is not dominant over white and white is not dominant over red because the resulting colors were the intermediate between the two. Not so red and not so white. Now, when we want to check their genotype, using the Punnett square, as you can remember in Punnett square, this area here is for the genotype of the other parent and this area here is the genotype for the other parent. Usually this is for the male and this is for the female. Now, the ratio of phenotype and genotype of this incomplete dominance is the same. 4 pink flowers and 4 RW genotype. Where did this genotype came from? By using the Punnett square, you can identify this one. For example, here, the genotype of this pink flower is RW because R is coming from here and W is coming from here. This one RW because R is coming from here and W is coming from here. And this one is RW because this one and this one. No, W here and R there here. W here, R there. Okay. The second one example of non-Mendelian is codominance. Now in codominance, 2 traits are both inherited. Remember, 2 traits are both inherited. Unlike in Mendelian, only 1 trait must be inherited. Example, only 1 trait. In Mendelian, 1 trait. Non-Mendelian, 2 trait. Particularly codominance because example here we have brown cat and white cat. Only 1 trait is inherited in the offspring, which is the color white from the mother cat. But in codominance, white cow mate with brown cow, all resulting cows displays excuse me, or shows the color of the two parents. For example, this cow here has white, has brown, has white, has brown, has white, has brown, has brown, has white. Okay, their genotype are also the same. These are called roan cows. Roan cows. White is inherited, brown is inherited. Example of codominance. Now in summary, we have here red flower crossed with white flower. The resulting flower is pink. Not so red, not so white. Incomplete dominance. Example. Okay? But we have here also, this flower is an example of codominant because it seems like it displays the two traits of parents, right? Red is expressed and white is also expressed. So, two traits are inherited and therefore example of codominant inheritance. Example of non-Mendelian inheritance. Okay? The third one, we have here the multiple alleles as example of non-Mendelian inheritance. Now, multiple allele says more than two alleles available controlling a trait. Now, unlike in Mendelian, only two alleles, because one allele is coming from the other one and another allele is coming from the other parent, two alleles per trait. Because if you can remember this one, if this is the chromosome, and it must be two alleles per trait controlling the trait. But one of these two alleles is the dominant and therefore it really controls the trait. For example, the trait is red, the redness of flower. So the redness of flower is controlled by either this allele or this allele. So what I want you to understand is that in Mendelian inheritance, only one allele must code for a certain trait. This two here, because this two is written here because this is coming from the pairs of already in the chromosome. But in Mendelian allele, only one trait is controlling, while in non-Mendelian, multiple alleles, more than two or alleles are controlling. Example, here, in Mendelian inheritance, only one allele is controlling a trait. For example, here we have white color. No, being white is a trait, and it is only controlled by one allele, which is this one, W. The same with this one. Being red is the phenotype or the trait, and it is only controlled by this one allele here. So this allele here could be this one or could be this one. If this is the dominant, so it must have to occur in the offspring that the color is red. Okay, but one thing I want you to understand is that only one allele per trait, and in our definition it is written as two because a gene must have two alleles, pair of alleles. Now in blood type, in humans, we are this trait is not only controlled by one allele. In fact, it is controlled by three alleles. No, three alleles, A, B, and O. Now, it is not also correct to say that in a chromosome, these three alleles must be present, because to say that blood type is controlled by three alleles means to say the whole, it counts to the whole group of population of humans, because all humans, all population of humans is governed in terms of blood type, is governed by three alleles. Because for example here we have one X chromosome for one person, another person, another person, another person, another person, and another person. So meaning to say each person could only have one or two alleles of these three alleles. For example, here this person has the only allele A, this person here B only, this person here O, this person B and O, A and O, A and B. But we need to remember that blood type is controlled by three alleles, because some persons contain A, some persons contain B, and some persons contains O. That's it. It's controlled by three alleles. And to better understand this one, if your blood type is A, we need also to determine the genotype. Now in determining the genotype, it is you can determine whether it is this one or this one. If your blood type is B, your genotype is this one or this one. If your blood type is AB, your genotype is this one. You must remember that if in the simplest way or the usual way to write the genotype of blood type, you must also write capital letter I and small letter I. Capital letter I stands for the dominant alleles, which is for A and B. And small letter I stands for the recessive allele, that is for type O. Now, if your blood type is A, therefore your genotype is this or this. If you can check this out, you are homozygous A or you are heterozygous A. Now, no need for us to write O here because it is understood that if you write small letter I, it is understood that it is recessive and therefore stands for type O allele. Now, if your type O allele is paired with a dominant allele, in this case letter A or type A, meaning to say you are having the phenotype of blood type A. You're having blood type A, but your genotype is heterozygous A. So the same with other groups here. We have here B. So it's either your genotype is homozygous B or heterozygous B. You have here AB and your genotype is A and B. Another example of codominance because you are inheriting both alleles A and B. But if your blood type is O, automatically you should have this homozygous small letter I because for a recessive one to be expressed, it must appear that in their genotype it must be homozygous. Okay. In this case, I want you to introduce another slide because now this slides is only focusing on the alleles. Your blood type is A and your genotype is AA. If your blood type is type B, your genotype is this one, ABA. Now, I want you to leave this problem here. If your mother's blood type is A and your father and your blood type is A, therefore, what is the blood type of your father? I think it is possible that your father is A because to solve it using the Punnett square here, this one, let's put it this way. Your mother is homozygous A, so this is the genotype of your mother here because in writing the genotype, this area is for your mother and this area is for father. So this is the genotype of your mother, homozygous A. Then, because your blood type is A, we can write it this way. It could also be homozygous A. Now, what is the genotype of your father? Because this allele is coming from your mother, this allele here must be coming from your father. So your father is blood type A or could be homozygous A. So genotype here, another child who's having the blood type A because this allele here is coming from your mother and this one is from your father. The same with this genotype here. Okay, from your father, from your mother. Okay, that is how you're going to write the genotype or to identify the genotype using the Punnett square in solving the problems about blood type. Okay, now if your mother's blood type is B, your blood type is AB, and therefore your father is A. Your mother's blood type is O, you are O, and therefore because O is recessive, therefore O must have to be a homozygous O in your genotype. So your father's blood type is O. Okay. If your mother is AB and you are B, the answer is, I will leave this question to you. You can write the answer of this in the comment section below. And this is the question that I will leave before I end this video. But before that, I need to mention first to give thanks to these websites because these websites are the sources of the definitions I used in this video and also these links, these websites for the pictures I used in this video. Thank you so much and have a nice day. See you in part 3 of this lesson.